The airport blew a hole in the budget, and to plug it, county officials proposed tax increases across the board. To their surprise, residents are furious and businesses are threatening to scale back hiring and expansion. People have started to call this the most incompetent leadership since the founders first carved roads into the mud. Nobody wants higher bills to cover an airport they never asked for. Now in panic mode, elected officials insist they have a better answer, a plan that pays for itself. A plan that fixes the budget without increasing taxation. Across the highway, there's a big chunk of undeveloped land. If they open up zoning, turn it into a high-end tourist and shopping district, the airport stops being a checkpoint people rush through, and instead it becomes the reason people come to Lithia Bay in the first place. But there's a few holes in their plan. The incentives needed to attract major hotels and retail will erase all of the payoff. The county still has to fund the roads and services to support the district, and traffic projections show that without a bypass, congestion will bottleneck the entire area. County leaders don't care. Their term is coming to an end, and they want a legacy. So today, we're going to cement their legacy as Lithia Bay's worst leaders by building out our very first tourism-centered district. We'll start by expanding our road network, then we'll add in some piers, a big retail center, a bunch of hotels, a bunch of parks, and some mixed-use residential. We're also going to try and fix the insane amount of traffic, but we'll see how that turns out. Now let's jump in and try not to go bankrupt. Alright, so we're going to do a few things here, and really we're going to turn this side into a tourist hotspot. I really want it to feel upscale, I want it to feel fancy and intentional. Mostly, I just want there to be a reason to fly into Lithia Bay, because right now, there really isn't one outside the conference center. So this little tourist hotspot will be that reason, but also at the same time, we need employees for our airport. Right now there's a lack of labor at one of our gas stations, and given how many jobs will be in this area, we're going to need a whole bunch of residents to help fulfill that. Here's the thing though, our budget is in a really bad place, and we're going to do two quick fixes. So we're not going to touch taxation, but if we go into our services, I think we have some outdated policies, and yeah. So our budget for electricity is 130%. Let's bring that down to 100%. And then our budget for garbage management is currently at 150%. So we'll reset that. And then everything else is back at 100%, so we're all good there. Now that does help a little bit, but I actually have one rule I'm going to follow this entire episode. And that rule is that the game cannot be paused once I click play. We're in a really bad spot. So clicking pause is essentially stopping time, and we can't do that in real life. And so because of that, I'm not going to do it in the game. There is a really big risk though. If we move too slow on this stuff, we will go bankrupt. So the game is officially playing, and we gotta get started and move quickly now. So we're gonna buy this tile, and unfortunately it's a pretty big one, and we're not even gonna develop this entire tile. We just need this little section right here. Now this is gonna cost all of our money. 600 grand, $132,000 in tile upkeep, which means we're gonna have to take out a loan, and we're gonna have to work fast to recoup all of our costs. So let's purchase this tile. And now looking at this highway road right here, it doesn't really make sense with what we're going to be developing. So I wanna grab this 4-lane expressway. It's essentially the same thing as a normal 4-lane highway, except for there's trees and grass in the middle, and the speed limit is also lower. So using this 4-lane expressway, we're gonna grab from right about here, and we're gonna upgrade all the way to the bridge. Now we'll swap back to a 4-lane 2-way highway. And then I want to make this transition right here a little bit more smooth. So we'll grab a 3-lane 2-way highway, and we'll give that additional lane for the people coming in to Lithia Bay. And maybe that's just a me thing, but I think that looks way nicer than just having a 4-lane transition into a 2-lane. Next up, we're going to start working on our road network. And I want this to be a bit more interesting than usual. So we're going to grab one of these teardrop roundabouts, and then I want to aim it towards the trees because that gives us somewhere in the middle. And then I want to make sure that this right here is one intersection. So we're going to quickly create a super node right here. Now we have a proper intersection. All we're missing is a light. And And I was thinking if we develop over here in the future and we don't have sidewalks, we could always place these pedestrian overpasses here. Now, before we start building on our grid, we need a continuous road that runs around this entire area. We're going to try and stay about 8 units away from the highway and from the water. That way there's a bit of separation, and we're also going to curve with the contour lines. And this will essentially be the foundation for everything that we're building today. Now what this is going to give us is one very smooth flowing grid, and it'll also separate the lots of land too, which is really what I want to see. So I'm thinking we'll mostly concentrate all of our hotels in this area. We'll have a nice big shopping center in this one. And then this area will be a mix of medium density, although there is one thing I want to do, and that's run a road right down here. Because I could see turning this area right here into another tourist trap. So maybe you could either rent some boats, you could rent some jet skis, maybe you could pay someone to take you sailing. I don't know what it is, but I think it's going to be great here, and it's going to give another reason to actually come into this tourist area. So we're going to need a road that runs down here, and I think we're going to use this wide alley with sidewalks. The reason for that is because it's a fairly small road, and you can see what I mean when I place it in. It doesn't have any road markings. Now I probably should have checked to see if it would work without anarchy, so let's try this one more time. The only issue is that we're just on the edge of our tile and we're in the water. So we're going to put a key on the right side, and then we're just going to use anarchy to place this in. And then this road is going to wrap up and connect somewhere around here. And then we also need to wrap this road around the contour line until we get to right about here. And oh no, we're in a bad spot. We don't even have enough money to add in a single pier. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want to get these piers in first before I think about anything else. So we're going to take a loan. And I'm actually surprised to know that we already have a loan. If I knew that, I would have paid it back. That's how they get you. You forget about your loans, and then next thing you know, you owe way more. Now, I don't want to dig myself too big of a hole, so I think we'll take a $280,000 loan, but that's not even going to be close to enough. No, we need way more. So we're going to take $780,000. That's going to put us in a deficit of negative $722,000 per month, which is why we're really going to have to start moving quicker here. And I find it funny that I say that, and then for some reason I end up prioritizing building a pier. All right, so here's what I'm thinking for the pier. What we're going to do is we're going to quickly put a quay wall on this. Then we're going to grab our wide wooden leisure pier, and I want to try and find somewhere slightly straight. It seems like this is probably the best spot, but actually just looking at the water, we'll probably have to do a tiny bit of dredging. All right, now we can take our wide wooden leisure pier, and I want to go out 10 units. Then we'll grab our narrow wooden leisure pier, and we'll go out 5 units on each side. And then if my calculations are correct, we'll want to go 2 units up and 2 units over. And what this should give us is just enough room to place in one of these boats. And actually, yeah, that's pretty much perfect. Now I'm going to continue this pattern down a bit, and then we'll also build 2 more. And then all I want is one bigger pier to connect all of these together. So we're going to use our medium wooden leisure pier to accomplish that. Now we're almost ready to start developing some of this area. We have 4 key connections that we need to make. So the first one we're going to do is from our interchange into this road. We will use the rural 2-lane one-way highway, and that's because I want people to decrease their speed limit as they get to this road right here. And that's pretty much perfect, but we're going to give this intersection the same treatment we gave that one. We need it to be one intersection with one set of lights. And then last but not least, we're just going to connect both of these roads into these roads right here. All right, now before we even consider placing another road in, I want to think about pedestrians. I know that's kind of ironic given that there's this giant interchange smack dab in the middle. At the moment, we have a weak administration, they're creating hard times, and now they're only making it worse. So they went overboard on the airport, and now they're going overboard on the infrastructure in this area. And they're also creating a whole bunch of business incentives in order to bring business, tourists, and people here. So outside of the irony, I do want pedestrian roads to run all throughout here, and I want there to even be somewhat of a central park area. Now I'm wondering if we have a great pedestrian road that we can use in Road Builder. And I really like the look of this one. I honestly can't wait until we get pedestrian roads as some assets. So this one is a 3.8 unit plaza with European lights. Let's just take a look to see how this appears. And yeah, I really like that. That's pretty much perfect. It's a bit wide, but I think we can still work with it. Now let's take a look at our contour lines, and that is perfect. We have a great place to follow along. So we'll start by adding in a little stub right here. Then we're going to flatten out this section. We're going to start our stub here, and then we'll follow along the contour line until we connect to right about here. Now I want to level all of this out. That way there's a bit of difference between our pedestrian road and this lot of land right here. I also want to level all of this land to this height. Now on the bottom side, we're going to have a quay wall. And on the top side, we're going to have a retaining wall. And how does that come out looking? Honestly, not as big as I would have hoped. So I think I might step out of the lens of reality for a second. And we're going to shift this terrain up just a tiny bit, but not that much. That's way too much. And maybe what we did is we took all the soil from down here and we're bringing it up here. In fact, we could also take a bit more soil from this area as well. And then we can use our slope terrain tool to just slope up to a few different points. And then what that gives us is a nice, beautiful retaining wall. Maybe we can have some of our more fancier hotels on here. Now, I don't want to stop thinking about pedestrians just yet, but I do need to do the opposite. We've unlocked a few signature buildings that I want to make sure we get into this build. The one I care the most about is this sporting goods store. And this could even act as bait. There will be people who want to come to this store. And if you're here, why not stop at one of our hotels? Or even maybe one of our tourist attractions that I hope we have enough money to build. And also another big thing is that this will really help with our budget. It's a fairly substantial commercial property. There is one key factor I want to keep in mind. I want to make sure we reduce traffic on this road right here as much as possible, because Castlewood and Briarfield Street are serving a really important purpose right now, and that's to move people from these areas. So we want to make sure that our placement respects this road. But we are going to need at least one road to pull in traffic from here, and we'll use the 2.6 unit urban boulevard for that. The only unfortunate thing about this road is that it doesn't actually create the median split that we need, which means we'll need to create it ourselves. Let's quickly get all of our utilities hooked up. So we're going to run one of our electric cables just right across. And actually, we shouldn't even have to run them right across. We should be able to just connect in right here. And then all we're missing is water and sewage, which again, we're just going to connect in right across from here. Now we're going to place a few more key commercial buildings. We're going to have a McDonald's right here. We're also going to have a Wendy's right beside it. And we're going to grab one of these alleyway roads and run it right behind our Wendy's. And actually, I take back everything I said about these two being here. Let's grab our supermarket, because I feel like this could fit in as a mall type asset. For right now, I'm going to snap it to this road. We'll run an alleyway right behind it, and then we'll just flip this around. Now we're probably going to have to make this road a quay wall. And yeah, definitely that comes out looking way nicer. Oh no way, the tornado is actually that close to us? I didn't realize. Please don't take out our airport. Please and thank you. Now I'm going to add back in our Wendy's and our McDonald's. And last but not least, we'll have a Whataburger here. We'll give these all a bit of room to breathe. And then I just want to take some Southwestern commercial and throw it alongside here. Before we do that though, let's upgrade this alleyway to have parking. All right, now I want to grab this road and wrap it around, and we'll end its connection right about here. And we're also going to smooth this curve a bit because it's a bit rough looking. I really wish we could keep the median in the middle, but it's kind of just one of those things that you have to live with. So for right now, this is what we're going to call it on our commercial development. We got a few great properties in. We really need to start getting some more residents in. So to get some residents in, I'm thinking we actually start with this hill area. It's going to be a really great area to start with, and it's going to allow for a whole bunch of variation. It was either this spot or this one right here, and I think this is the one we'll work on next. Before we even work on any roads, I actually want to get the buildings in first. So we'll build the grid around the buildings rather than the buildings around the grid. Now these are all mixed use, but I can use my imagination and pretend that these are hotels. And one thing I want to be careful of is how close we are to our airport with our density, and we have quite a bit of distance away, so we should be in a good spot. Now we'll place our Mont Blanc tower right here. Then we'll place the Botanic Garden right beside it. Then the Continent 1 will sit slightly below it, and we'll do something similar with the Continent 2. And now we're ready to start getting some roads in. I think the first thing we actually need is parking. I guess it really depends on the capacity of these buildings. So 120 households in this one, another 127, another 89, and another 80. So there's definitely quite a bit of residents in this area. And do these buildings have parking embedded in them? So this building does, and I actually need to get used to that. I forgot we can see the parking usage, so there's only 12 spots in this building. Not very realistic, but it's better than 0. There's 12 in this one, and from what I can see, this one doesn't have any parking, and I believe that makes sense because it doesn't have a garage. That's a really, really good detail, and this one has another 12. So yeah, we're definitely going to need a whole bunch of parking here. So we'll use 2 one-way perpendicular parking alleys. We'll snap to the zoning grid, and we're going to try and stay real close. Now I also want to connect this parking lot into this road, but I only want the entrance to work if you're coming from this side, so the right side of the road. So we're going to upgrade this to be a 4-lane road. Then we're going to use this additional lane to branch off. And we're going to remove the lights here and the crosswalks. And then we're just going to connect into our parking alley, and then we're going to split all of it up. I ended up readjusting pretty much the entire thing. This part right here really bugs me, but I know once it's detailed, it will look nice. It's just one of those things that you have to put in the back of your mind and not think about until it's ready. I would have just added in some parking garages, but for example, this building right here costs $200,000, and this one right here is $40,000. We still have a whole bunch of development to do, so I want to be careful with our budget. Now I actually want all of the roads running up here to be pedestrian roads, but if we're going to do that, then we need to give people a way to check in without walking all the way up here. There has to be some type of main building. And I was looking for a good asset, and I stumbled upon the livestock exchange. Now it's essentially our livestock industry has gained renown outside our city. We need a place to plan events and facilitate meetings between buyers and sellers. So the description and the name of the building do not fit what we're doing whatsoever. But if you take a look at the building, I don't know, I could see it as a main building. So we're going to place that right here, right attached to this parking lot, and thankfully it fits like a glove. And now this is where I wish we had some sort of golf caddy, because I could see having this parking lot just filled with some sort of golf caddy. And essentially you'd bring all of your stuff here, so your bags, your luggage, whatever it may be. You'd check in, you'd go to the back, and that's where the golf caddies would live. You'd put all your stuff on the golf caddy, and they'd drive you up to one of these hotels. Unfortunately, we can't actually get that deep in this game right now. There's definitely some ways we could try to make it happen, but I think as long as everyone gets that's what I was going for, we should be fine. Now we're gonna need a pedestrian street that's not so wide, and I think this one right here should do the trick for us. We're gonna flatten this out, and we'll get that placed in right behind it. Ideally though, it's as close as possible to the building. And then we're going to take our pedestrian street and just send it along the front of every building. Now I'm just going to go through and get all of these connected up. The grading is a bit rough. I'm going to try and see what I can do. If I can't do anything, then I'll just live with it, but I'm going to try and get it to be at least under 5%. And I just really love how this is shaping up. So we have our terrace paths that run along the side. Right here we have a nice little retaining wall, and I really like it. I feel like this would be a cool place to hang out. And I think it also signifies that these towers, these two hotels, are a bit more grand than these ones right here. I want to get a bit more parking in. And ever since I added this quay wall right here, I realized this would be the perfect place to get some in. Now, last but not least, we need to give all these buildings utilities, and the only reason they don't have them right now is because they're not actually connected into anything. So using any of these pedestrian streets, we can just bridge this connection right here. And I think I'll actually bump this over just a tiny bit. That way it's a little bit more snug with the building. And now all of these should get all of their utilities. For some reason, only one is, and we have another tornado. That's really not good. Okay, let's just ignore it. Let's just ignore it. So my only guess is that these buildings aren't fronting the right way. And that was definitely the reason, because now we have all of our utilities hooked up. And I would say that this little small section right here is done. So let's swap our focus to the next hotel area we'll have, and that'll be right here. Now right off the bat, we're going to grab a retaining wall, and we're going to add it into this road right here. Then we'll select our height, and we're just going to pull it all the way through. What was that? I went to go grab a drink, and I came back, and I just seen a delivery van floating down. I don't get this game sometimes. Now, I want to add some of these Renaissance hotels in, and I want to get that kind of near our water, but not too close to the highway. So I think right here is going to be a really good spot. But I think we're going to elevate this just a tiny bit. And then so we can align these in the best possible way, I'm going to place down an alleyway right here. And I want them to be on the opposite sides. So we'll flip this one around. And I think that right there looks really, really cool. Now we can grab a pedestrian road and just wrap it around the building. And how does that come out looking? We'll need to do a little bit of work to make sure it all fits nice, but I like how this looks. And this building doesn't have any parking spots. It makes sense. I don't even believe there's car access. So we're going to need to make sure that we actually give enough parking. Before we do that though, let's get this connected into somewhere. Now I think we'll also throw a couple of these in. Probably just this one because it's a bit smaller. And we're going to end up recoloring it. That way it doesn't feel the exact same as over here. And I'm wondering, can we just borrow this color right here and paste it on? We kind of can. That's a bit rough. You know what? I don't think that's too bad right there. Maybe feels a little too dense for this area though. So let's try and give all of these some space and some breathing room. And I think that comes out looking much nicer, much more clean. We had to get rid of one building, but it should be fine. And unfortunately, this building isn't working. And I guess that's kind of obvious. That's because this doesn't have an actual car connection on it, does it? Which is fine. We can have one front this road. Now we need to get a bunch of parking in, and there really isn't too many good places. I think really some of our best options are behind this building right here, and then alongside the highway. And we'll have to use our parking lot roads to make this happen because we're doing pretty bad still. We're almost out of the hole though. $13,000 per hour, not too bad. So I'm gonna go make a bunch of parking. All right, is that enough parking? Probably not. Is this what I'm gonna call it? Probably. There's a lot more things we can get in than more parking. And ideally, a lot of these would be replaced with actual parking buildings. I'm hoping we'll get out of the hole soon so we can actually just do that. Now, oh, what is this? It looks like we're having a pretty big traffic problem. And interestingly enough, when I was looking at it, I noticed that people weren't turning left here. And they keep flowing down there to turn left. So I'm gonna reset this to vanilla, and then I'm gonna remove U-turns. And because this intersection does have a light, we'll also allow left turns from this lane right here. Now that didn't really help too much. In fact, it may have made it worse because now we're giving less time for the traffic to bundle up here. And all of that really makes sense. I didn't expect this interchange to be able to hold all of the traffic from all the people moving in. I'm actually wondering how many people live in this district. And Cherrytown has 656 households or 1,000 residents. So really not too bad. Now after thinking about the interchange, I think there's really one big problem that's blocking a lot of this. We would want the interchange to connect into this road right here. That way it can properly distribute traffic. The only issue with that is that this interchange right here is already so close to this area, and having two proper full-size interchanges within this distance is just not ideal. Now I could just rework this, but I really don't want to do that as a part of this episode. So I'm gonna apply a few adjustments and we'll see if that helps. So let's give a third lane right here. We'll turn all of our snappings off and we're gonna branch in. We want to make sure there's enough time to merge onto this lane before we start curving in. And that's not really as much time as I'd like, but I've seen crazier. Now we want to do the exact same thing. So we'll let people merge back on. And then on this side, we're going to grab a 2-lane one-way highway. We're going to make sure we have a key on both sides, and then we're going to give an extra turning lane. Then on this side, we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to give an extra turning lane. And just looking at this right here, I think we should extend the third lane just a bit longer. In fact, I think that also justifies extending this second lane up here a bit longer as well. And we're starting to see a small improvement in this area. Now it's really just this area, but I feel like it definitely is clearing up. Oh wait, we have one right here now. This one is pretty easy to fix though. We'll grab our 5-lane asymmetric and we'll give an extra lane to this side. And this gives us a much smoother right turn. And then we can also do something on this left turn right here. Now I'm gonna reset this to vanilla and remove all unsafe. We're also gonna remove this movement. Now this should be a light, but really City Skylines 2 does not handle lights all that well. So we're gonna set this movement to be stop, these 3 to be priority, this one will be yield, this turn will also be stop, and then these 2 forward movements will be priority. And that right there hopefully helps the AI figure out what the movement is. And would you look at that, our traffic is cleared down here. And instead our traffic is here now, okay. It's funny because I figured this might create problems, but I'm gonna stop worrying about traffic for a bit and just get back to developing. So I want there to be some nice commercial lots right here. To do this, we're gonna open up Platter, and I wanna get those right alongside this road. And I know that I want the waterfront business. We'll go 4 deep and 3 wide. Alright, and my game crashed. I lost quite a bit of work. So I'm going to swap gears for a second, and we're going to shift our attention to this area right here, and we'll turn this into a medium density mixed use area. So let's start by getting our grid done. Alright, and this is what we're going to have for our grid. I tried to shake it up a bit from what I would usually build, and I feel like for the most part I've done that. We also have this tiny little bridge right here, just because I think it would be essential for getting traffic over without relying on this road right here. Now, I found something interesting. We have vehicles turning in here, and then using this as an exit. They have no other business in this area other than turning into this road and leaving. So they're using this as a bypass, which makes a whole lot of sense for why our traffic is so crazy right now. There should be an easy way to fix this. And to do that, we're going to give this road right here a free-flowing movement onto the highway. So we'll upgrade this to have 4 lanes. Then we need to create a 5-lane asymmetrical variant of this. And then we'll snap into our extra lane and make our way into this one. Now we still have one more problem, and that's traffic sees this as a through road. So attaching it into this street was actually a bad idea. And that right there is actually a good thing because it solves another problem that we would have had if we didn't delete that. Having this movement is fine, but we need to make sure we have enough time to merge on safely. Now we're going to add that exit and entrance down here. Okay, and I'm hoping that traffic is going to flow much nicer. I'm really just trying to avoid rebuilding that interchange. I just want to work on this. Now, I'm going to go through and get some zoning in. And really what I'm looking for is southwestern residential and mixed use. Actually, we could probably even get some of these brickworks in. And we could definitely get some of these in. These sapphire buildings are really nice. I love them. Is there a way that we can get 3 in? And yeah, it seems like we get 3 in right here. Now the real question is, would we be so lucky to get a little bit of parking in? Let's see. And we would be lucky enough. Okay, that's pretty much perfect. So I really want to try and stay close to the more modern style and the more southwestern style. So I'm going to go through right now. I'm going to fill it all in. I genuinely think this is the worst I've seen traffic in a long time. It's backed up all the way down here. Oh no, it gets worse. It's all the way down here. No way, it keeps going? Wow, I would definitely be getting out of my car and jumping into the water. Yeah, so this is quite literally the worst traffic that I've ever seen. And first off, this was an awful idea. I honestly don't even know what I was thinking. There's obviously some key fixes that need to be done, and I'm going to save those for a different day. But I think one of the biggest fixes would be creating a bypass so we could connect the highway to right here, run it all the way through here, and then create a trumpet. That way traffic coming from this external connection doesn't have to do this whole entire song and dance. The second biggest fix would be adding in an interchange from that highway into this road. Because as it stands, there's really only one real way into this area, and that's through this road right here. And because of that, this road is getting slammed. Anyways, with all of that said, here's what I got done. So we have just a bunch of Southwestern, we have our beautiful custom assets. I smashed together a couple of these Dutch flats to create something just a bit different. Although I definitely think we gotta change the color, and I like that red just a bit more. Right here, I mostly wanted commercial, but then we started running out of commercial demand, so instead we just have a bit of office. The other good news is that we are making money again, $7,000 per hour. Not too bad. And so we're gonna invest some of our profits, if you can call them that, into some healthcare. And we're gonna use 2 of these small clinics because they're cheap. So let's get one right on the outskirts. And we'll make sure to set it to this district only. And then we're gonna have one more, and let's place that right over here. And again, we're gonna set this to this district only. And I might be underserving this, but until we get enough money, we're gonna underserve. Then last but not least, we're definitely gonna need some form of death care, so let's get a crematorium in. And given our current traffic situation, this has to go in somewhere with great access. And this won't be the perfect spot, but I'm gonna place it in right here for now. And then let's slap a key wall right on the back of this. And again, we're gonna set it to only serve this district right here. And just like that, things are starting to look a little bit better now. Not so many hearse icons, not so many ambulance icons. And actually, even our traffic has calmed down too. Everywhere except for here. That's really nice to see. I shouldn't have said anything. Why did I even speak? Now, it does seem like we are making money, and I want to make sure we're getting a few parks in here. In fact, I want a whole bunch of parks. So what I was thinking is, alongside this pedestrian road, we could have a bunch of these parkside cafes. We could even have some of these smaller amusement park assets. But I'm a bit worried that this pedestrian road doesn't actually support zoning. So here's what I'm thinking. In order to actually get this to function so we can place buildings on it, we're gonna run another road alongside here. And now we're gonna use this road right here to place all of our parks on. And I think we'll start off with one of these pavilion restaurants. And then we'll go for the Merry Merry-Go-Round Carousel Park. Then I guess let's have a bouncy castle. I wouldn't say it's my ideal choice for what I'd want, but I guess we're gonna work with what we got. And then we'll just have a few more of these. Definitely lots of stuff going on here, but I really do like it. Now we're gonna round this off with a pedestrian road. So we'll snap to the side of every single one of these parks and just run this pedestrian road all the way through. And then I wanna make sure that we connect in all of our paths. Now this comes out more amusement park than I'd like. I was kind of hoping for more touristy area, but I'm gonna work with the assets that I got, and these are the ones that I have right now. I'm just adding in a nice little grass surface. Now I think at the very least we gotta get one of these water parks in. I've only ever used this asset once, so I'd definitely like to use it again if I can. And I'll have that right in the middle. And there goes a bunch of our money. Now we're gonna delete the parking from this asset. And instead, we're gonna have a bunch of parking right behind it. And then we're gonna get all of this connected up with an alleyway. And then we just wanna make sure that the people can walk from our parking over to our water park. And looking at this just made me realize we don't have park maintenance, do we? And no, we do not. A bunch of our parks are at 0 maintenance. This is definitely a problem to solve a different time, but I'll need to keep that in mind moving forward. Now, while we're still on the topic of parks, I definitely think we should add in some pools over here. So we'll have one right off this pedestrian road. Let's get another one over here. And now I definitely think we're missing some of these leisure venues. Really just anything that isn't an amusement park. And I think this brewery will do really nice over here. And then we'll have Eclipse Nightlife right beside it. I'm sure they'll make a good couple. And also in this area, let's grab one of these Oasis kitchens and we'll place that right there. And then we have this sports bar, and I think this sports bar is actually perfect down here. And let's orientate it towards this side. And actually, this espresso on the go fits really well right here. Yeah, we're definitely going to add that in. Otherwise, I'll never use this asset. And we can definitely place this Walmart right here. No, in all seriousness, we have the Riverside Grill, and I think it would be offensive if we didn't put it by the river. We have Gusto Gelato, which I think could fit really well here. And then we have the Lobster Tail, and I'm thinking that maybe we could put it right up here. If we just turn our snapping off, we get that placed in like that right there, and then all we need to do is run a pedestrian road directly to it. Then we have our Skylines Heritage Museum, which is going to be massive for attractiveness. And I feel like that's going to do really well right here. And we do have some bigger assets like our cinema. I feel like if we're going to place these in, they kind of have to be by all of our big box retail. And we could fit this in right here. And it seems like this is another bar. So maybe this road is just our street filled with bars. And then last but not least, we have our Sunshine Hotel. I definitely want to get this in somewhere, and I was thinking we could probably place it right here. I feel like this is another really good place for it, and it just rounds this area off and doesn't make it feel so empty. All we need is some type of connection into the front of the building, and of course, we're going to use a pedestrian road to do that. And we'll get rid of this little parking right here. Now, all of that is looking pretty good. Look at the traffic. I mean, don't look at the traffic. Whatever you do, do not look at the traffic. Okay, now last but not least, I want to make sure we have a bus route from our station to this town. And that's because if you're going to be flying into Lithia Bay to come to what is currently Cherrytown, I want to make sure your trip is nice and easy. That way you have no stress and you're incentivized to spend as much money as possible. Now, given the current traffic situation, it seems like adding in a bus doesn't really matter because it's not going to make it. So we're actually going to give this town its own dedicated bus lane. So we're going to pull that from right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the train tracks and we'll try and connect back up into this road right here. And now we need somewhere for the bus to actually come into. And I'm thinking that we send the bus right to this building right here. So maybe this isn't just the main building for these 4 towers. Maybe it's just the main building for this entire area. So we'll grab our North American bus stop shelter. And this isn't going to be the prettiest place. In terms of functionality, it should work. And that's really all I'm going to care about. Now we're going to go back to our terminal. We're going to add an additional route to terminal to parking. And I just want to make sure it's going to follow the right path to get here. And of course it doesn't. Why would it do all that extra stuff when it has this direct path? Either way, we're going to send this all the way down. And now when we click on this, it should route from our bus road. I'm going to call this route line 11, terminal to main. Main as in main building. We're going to make the ticket price free. I'm going to drop the vehicles down to 3 because that's the minimum. And we'll make this one a nice pink. And that should be everything for our bus route. It should be functioning. Now we got a few more things to wrap up, and then we're going to move over to detailing. First things first, we're going to give the airport its own district. We're going to call it the Lithia Bay Airport. We're going to delete our firefighting helipad because yeah, it definitely would be a risk in this area. And we're also going to set this fire station to both of these districts. We'll do the same thing with our police station. And I just want to do a quick check for services in this area. So it seems like our airport is piling up with garbage, and I imagine that's just because our landfill is not set to this area. But now it is, and everything should be working. We also have this wonderful post office over here, and we're going to set it to these two districts. And we'll quickly go around and add a few mailboxes. And there we go. Now our telecom is in a pretty rough place. In fact, even in our main area, it's still really bad. Again, that's a problem for another day. Right now, we will solve the problem in this area though. So this area over here is slightly higher and will give us green in pretty much this entire area and more of an orangey yellow in this one. And I'm fine with that. And how could I almost forget education? I didn't really see this as kind of like a normal functioning town. I just pictured it as a tourist hotspot, so I didn't even consider high school or elementary. We have 602 children, 343 teens, so we really only need a few small schools. Our Netherland Elementary School has a capacity of 1,000, and that should be really good. We'll get it placed in just like that, and we will add the adventure playground. Given our money, given our needs, I think this Eastern European high school can work really well, and the beauty of it is it can fit directly on this block, and there is an extension wing for 50,000. We kind of need it, but we can't afford it, so I'm going to try and remember to upgrade that later on. I'm going to set both of our schools to operate in this district only. And now we have medical, garbage, fire, police, education, mail, internet, and of course it's yellow. Wow. What happened? And that makes sense. This building has a 15% efficiency because it has no utilities. Now I'm going to quickly upgrade this while we still have money. All right, now everything should be solved. And yes, it is. And now we have 111% efficiency, which means we get a nice big green radius. All right, and that is all of our services for now. And now, last but not least, we have our two names in. So placeholder 2 will be Keysville, and placeholder 1 will be Apple Ridge. The only question left is, should we make an apple farm here? Now, we have a whole bunch of detailing to do, and unfortunately, we have no money for trees or landscaping. The only way I can see around this is by taking another loan. Or if we quickly pause the game, we grab one of our power lines and we send it outside. Wow. And I was going to start exporting a little bit of power, so we have just enough for some landscaping, and we are short by $100. That honestly feels really sad to say, and I don't see any other way to get money. So I guess we will take another $500,000 loan. We will start exporting our power, and that should give us a little bit of extra revenue to get some trees in and actually do the detailing. For detailing though, I really want to make a few areas stand out and pop, but I don't want to get too crazy about this. The last time for the airport, it was 3 hours of detailing alone, and while I'm really happy with how it came out, I do want to be able to produce these episodes quicker. So I have a few key areas that I really want to focus on. Right here, I want to have a nice little park. Same thing with right here as well. Then along our interchange, I really want to make it much, much nicer. I want this to be a future. And speaking of our interchange, I have an idea. Why don't we just give this a nice big roundabout? Pretty much like this right here. I have a feeling that's really going to help with traffic. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. And then we have this area right here. This to me is kind of a special place, so I really want to take my time here. And the rest, we're just going to make pretty by using some trees and some surfaces. Now, before traffic gets any worse, and before we lose any more money, let's jump into detailing. All right, and there we go. That's pretty much detailing done. Now that only took 1 hour. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between this and something like this. I also didn't even realize that this area is burning down. Oh no, stop. Not our pedestrian pass, not all of our bush. This took 3 hours. This took 3 hours, please stop. Anyways, I'm gonna ignore that for now. We're pretty much done for now. We have a whole bunch of work to do next time, and I think we're definitely gonna need to work on a bypass, and in general, just improve this highway. But for right now, let's jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. Huge thanks to all of our amazing Patreon and YouTube members. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, Freya Stark, and to everyone else supporting the channel in any way. Seriously, it's really appreciated. If you want sneak peeks or access to the save files, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.